I need
Okay,
to
yeah,
break down and get me a better ergonomical seat because this one I got is driving me crazy.
well, look, I literally just went to Herman Miller last week, Friday, sit in a chair because same thing. Like,
Hmm.
and I mean, I have a branch. I upgraded from the, well, no, this is a branch. And it was a couple $100, probably like a year and a half or so ago. But I sat in at Herman Miller. I was like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. But no wonder it's like a down payment on a car. It's like, oh my God, they want what? Um, so anywho, um, alrighty, I'm gonna do like 30 more seconds and we are going to get started. Get started. Um, Thank you so much, Mia, again for joining us. Everyone else, I'm seeing people come in. I'm not seeing you. Where's everybody at? Like faces. Hi, Sandy.
Hello. Had you on mute.
I needed to do this not knowing how many people is on. It's like every time somebody pop up, I'm like, no.
No, it's all good,
Like, oh no,
girl.
like somebody else is
Okay,
here.
okay. We're and I enjoy your social media. I'm like, she is so funny and cute. Like I need to hire her to my social media because she's like, no, I know, because social media is a beast in and of itself. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, if I had the room, I would, but it's so much work between my account and Mitchell Black. Woo, my screen time. You don't even want to know what my screen time is.
Oh goodness.
Oh, I think that's like that for all of us. It's
It's
so bad.
it's so bad. I need a break.
All right, well, we are going to go ahead and get started. And thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. We got people coming into the room, and I just encourage everyone to hop on camera if you're able, but don't get any accidents if you're in the car. Right? Just be safe. And it helps build the community and us to feel like, we're in the room together. And so today, I'm super excited. We have Miss Mia Johnson from Mia Johnson Interior Design. And I met Mia, I think it was what, fall of 2024, when we were a part of like the Insiders Access with Erica Ward. And it was such a lovely time with a lovely group of women. And I think that was brought on by the diversity, was it IDD or?
Yeah, it's the Diversity Alliance, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that it was just such a great opportunity and just connecting with the beautiful women that are in the business and just hearing their stories and being encouraged. And that's what connected me to me and just seeing, her even on social media, what she's doing. And yeah, I'm just super excited. So, tell us again, which state are you in, Mia?
I'm in Michigan.
Okay.
So it's or Antarctica if you look at the weather, like we can't really tell. But officially I'm in Michigan right now.
Cool. So yeah, so she's in Michigan, but she has a corporate background in project management. So that's what she brings to her business and why she has been, successful at scaling her business the way she has. She has over 15 years of experience in high-end residential and commercial design. And yeah, she just has a passion for artistry, and she's also certified as in project management professional. She's a certified project management professional. So I have been super excited about today's session because I'm pretty sure that we are all going to glean a lot. And if you're like me, um, learning good practices of how to be more efficient, how to stay on top of my projects in a way where I'm not feeling overwhelmed or like we're running in circles. Those are just things, some of the things I sometimes feel. So I'm like notebook ready, pen ready, like let's go. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Miss.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for attending. Thank you, Destiny, for that beautiful introduction. I am going to, how do you want me to present? We could talk. Is there a way I could like split screen to present and still be seen so we can kind of talk and walk at the
I
same
think when you
time?
present, I think on Zoom, it'll have a little box somewhere on the side
Okay.
that we'll see it. So yeah, you just focus on
So
it
do
right.
share desktop. Okay. Let me just do this. Okay. Oh wait, let me just do my desktop. Anytime I just try to do the document, it's gonna jack me up. So I don't be knowing what. See, I thought I had closed everything down. Okay. Now I want to go into presentation mode, view, full screen mode. Okay. All right. So we are going to talk, and this is I had emailed this like, is this informal, formal, how the other ones used to be. So feel free to jump in and ask any questions. But today, as Destiny said, we're talking structure behind the beauty, project management systems for us. And I want to say, like Destiny said off the back, I have been certified as a PMP, a project management professional, since 2009. There's my certification up there. And I will never let that lapse. It was a rigorous exam. I did that in corporate America for a long time. But my first project was actually a design project. My first project as a project manager. It was a 44,000 square foot commercial space. And I started it. They were like, Mia, we need somebody to help. We know you're working, about your project management. I was like, sure. And I ended up taking over the design. And so those two worlds merged for me right away. They had a full design team. And I was like, well, why do we have to do it this way? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And the CIO who I reported to was like, Mia, the budget is 1.2 million. As long as that number stays the same, you could do what you want. And so we ended up the design team that they had left, and I did it. And I would had blueprints, and it was my first project, first design project, and it won awards for the company and everything. And so it's really intimate and ingrained in me about project management and design. But what this is not is I won't be recommending systems in the sense of go use this software, go use that, because all of us there are so many great software out there programs. And so this is just really the methodology to help you run your projects and not, which system to go and buy or subscribe to, because as creatives, we know that there are so many out there. And then please feel free to cut me off at any point. Okay. Like I want this to be really interactive. Okay. So why this matters. Beautiful design alone does not guarantee a successful project. Is anybody, that's why I wanted to make sure I can kind of see everybody. Let me see if I can see as many people. Is everybody familiar with project management, the tenets of project management? Is anybody have any project management experience or background? Feel free to use the chat too. Or are people saying yes?
Mm-mm.
No?
Mia, can you explain? I've always wondered like the technical background
That's so
about
that's
it.
what okay, perfect. That's what I was getting ready to ask. So project management, there are three tenets, the main tenets of it, and it really does apply to our business. There's scope, time, and budget, right? And project management was created for government projects, and then it moved on to construction projects. And so again, really tied into what we do. It is running a project and keeping it within the scope, within the time frame, and within the budget. Those are the three overarching tiers of project management. There are tons. There's a book called PMBOK Guide that we PMPs go by and use. And so running your project that way will those using those three guiding principles helps you have a successful project. So talent isn't the issue. Most breakdown happens behind the scenes, and systems really do protect our creativity, our time, and our profit. And the other thing I will say about project management is it can be applied across the board. Like I said, it was created initially in the government space, in the construction space, but it is used in every format of business. So you just take this and apply it to your business. You could apply it to so many different things, and that's exactly what happens today. Oops, wrong way. Oh, now it doesn't want to go down. Okay. So starting right off, we could shout it out, interactive. You could put it in the chat. Where do your projects feel the heaviest right now? Is it in client communication? Is it in scope creep? Is it in procurement and tracking, install, or all of the above? I can't see the chat. Oh, there, wait, here's the
Yeah.
chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Scope creep. Okay, everybody is saying scope creep. That is great. Okay. So, oops. Sorry, I'm not super technical. I'm trying to make sure I can see the chat. Um, so the reason scope is a big one, and the reason for that is because, and we're going to talk about this so much today, scope is the true definition. Somebody calls and says, I want a bedroom done, or I want my kitchen done. You could say, okay, great. And if you take off and running, you have not defined the scope. The scope is the definition around what we are doing. So the real reason projects feel overwhelming, they don't fall apart because of bad design. The break off happens in handoffs, assumptions, and unclear ownership. And that's when you don't have that scope defined and it's not a part of your contract, it's not a part of your documentation. The client can then say, oh, well, I consider my kitchen this nook area. Well, we don't have the nook area defined in our projects in the part as a part of the scope. Then you have scope creep. Oh, I feel like window placement, brand new windows was included in the scope. That's in the kitchen. You have scope creep. So that's how we get scope creep. You have to have it defined at the beginning what we are doing in our projects.
Mia, can you explain
Yeah.
handoffs? What does that mean?
So it could be handoff between you and the client, handoff between you and a vendor, handoff between you and your design assistant. So whenever it comes off of your plate and goes to the next place whenever you are handing it off, literally, is how things can break down. And really, you could think about it too as like in communication. So, are you communicating clearly? That's when I'll back up. Oops. Yeah. The breakdown happens at that point. So you haven't communicated clearly to your contractor something. You have a breakdown. You haven't, there is an assumption, oh, you don't know that the curtains should be hung all the way at the top. That's an assumption that you make. And so there's where you have your breakdown. Or you think, so I'm working on a bathroom right now, and the installer, the builder for the contract, he ran the lighting. Then there was a handoff in the piece with the electrician. He happened to call me today. And he was like, was I supposed to do this? Or I said, go back to your, the builder notes. That is under your ownership. He was like, oh, okay, okay. So you have to have clear ownership in your processes so that you don't have breakdown. Does that answer that question?
It did. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. So this says solo designer, but we really could be talking about, you know, at any point. You can have a team. So common friction points are intake that doesn't match reality, undefined scope disguised as flexibility, and informal communications that become expectations. So, anybody of us are familiar with any of these things on here?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Guilty.
And so, to me, the intake that doesn't match reality, can somebody give me an example of what that is? What they can think about that is?
Would it be like a person calls and they want to redo their kitchen for $15,000?
Yes. Yep. Or, and you can, that's true, intake that doesn't match reality. And even taking it a step further, it's even in, you know, the call, like you said, do they, what is our process for when they reach out? What does our intake form looks like? They want a kitchen for 15,000. Um, that's a great example of what that can look like. Yeah. Undefined scope disguised as flexibility. That is a really big thing that can happen. And that's why scope is such an important part because, again, if it's not documented, if it's not defined, the biggest section of my contract is my scope of work. And because, and in the corporate world, the biggest part of a document, we would spend months working on the scope. I don't go out, I don't send a proposal to clients unless it's a new build. Even if it's I've done full renovations where the whole house is gutted, I still want to see the space. I still want to walk it through with the builders or whatever, because undefined scope is a killer because then people think, oh, we can just go here. In my early days, I've made the mistake of saying, oh, I'm going to do a design plan. And the person's like, great. In their mind, that is all of these things. But if you don't have it defined what that is, they look at it as flexibility and we look at it as lost profit because we're doing more work than we thought.
And Mia, I was writing in my notes, like give examples of what the client can expect. Would that help with that? So say you say a mood board, they may be thinking a mood board is one thing, but you've given them, say, like a clear example of what exactly that might be. I'm just trying to still wrap my,
Yeah.
you
So
get what
are you asking where the definition of that is or when to tell the client that?
No, I'm just saying, would that be an example of, like you're saying, making the scope like clear? So for me, it's like where the friction is where one party has an
Yes.
expectation, but that's not what they should have been expecting to begin with. So in order to make sure everyone, like our clients, know what to expect, they clearly know, even in the language and the terms of what we deliver to them, that you've somehow walked through with them. This is what that means. So I can say a mood board because we might say mood board, but to a person who's never worked with a designer, let's just say they don't even know what a mood board is. So somewhere maybe in your presentation, you
Correct.
show an example of one so they understand this is what it is and this is what it's not, if that makes sense.
Correct. That's a really good example. And how I do mine and this is I'm saying mine. I see my good friend Kelly is on here too. This is with conversation with multiple designers that a lot of us are doing these things. Everybody things that they already know. But in my document, when I say it's repetitive but not redundant, if that makes sense. And so what I mean by that is we have a scope of work. This is the scope of work. We are Mia Johnson Interior Design is going to handle the renovation or remodel of your first floor. That's a sentence. The spaces included in that first floor are one powder room. counting out the entryway. You got these open floor plans. Each thing you're gonna touch needs to be defined. And then when you get to your deliverables, what to your point, Destiny, what you're going to deliver, I'm going to deliver two elevations, one floor plan. Elevation, not counting kitchen. That mine says that even when it's certain things, custom cabinetry elevations, bath, it lists out each of the deliverables that I am going to, even to down to site visits. You get 15 site visits. You have, I should have had one of my contracts, one of my contracts up so you could kind of see it because this is where in your proposal contract is where you really define all of that. And so you lead with that. There's a bit in there about photography. And then again, it's repeated in the welcome guide. We're going to do this. This is what this looks like. And each step of the way, it's there. So Destiny, like you said, to your point, you're going to get one floor plan per room. You're going to get two renders per room and renders. That's another thing. Is it photorealistic renders? Is it just a sketch render? And I have it detailed out. You'll get panoramic 3D photorealistic render because render could mean something different. So all of those things help you, and it touches on each of those. You have clear communication, you have a defined scope. I had a conversation, I'm gonna keep going, with a client yesterday. She's a return client, and so she used to be e-design, and now she is doing a full more of a full service. And she was like, "Where's the links?" I was like, "Oh, no." She was like, "I found this rug cheap." No. I was like, "Hey, let's chat." In your contracts, you aren't supposed to. She was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I was like, we didn't do this as e-design. We did this as this. I do procurement." Okay. And she was like, "Okay." And then she cut me a check she was like, "Well, you want to buy everything?" Yes, I do. I was like, I don't just, your design fees don't cover. I sell furniture. I sell things. But I could say in the contract, we talked about it. It's in there. You know what I mean? So that's how you keep those things. These are the systems that we're talking about versus going because even if you had Asana, even if you have whatever it is you use to manage your projects, those things aren't going to help you. This is the type of systems that we're talking about. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Here, interactive reflection. Okay, I just did this. Think of one active project. Where is the tension showing up? Time, money, client confidence, or your energy. So I want to hear from somebody if possible. You could do it in the chat too if you want.
Um, I'll share.
Okay.
So I made a big mistake. I mean, it worked out, but to your point, this last project I just installed in December, and when I initially met with the client, um, so it's money. I think money, energy. I'm not sure, but long story short, that we ended up like knocking down a wall and putting in some custom closets. But when I initially did the walkthrough with her, it was more so like furnishing. She just bought a house. She didn't have, wasn't bringing any furniture from this apartment into this new, townhome. And, but she talked about this closet. And then she said, so when I asked, I was like, "Oh, well, is this a part of your budget that you gave me?" And she was like, "Oh, well, no, that would be separate." And
Mhm.
I didn't, but at that point, it was more like, "Oh, I will investigate what could be done to solve this problem she had in her primary bedroom." But I did not circle back around even to say, "Okay, well, let's talk about how much are you willing to pay, even though you're saying it's separate, like clearly defining, well, how much do you want to spend on a potential, um, remodeling of this closet, and there's some construction work, and now that I presented this design to you, like how much do you want to actually pay for it? You know, just all of those things. And I realized after the fact, because then it was like, oh, well, it ended up costing more than I thought, you know, da da da. And I just went back and was like, you know what? Some of that's my fault because I didn't circle back to that. And I think, like you're saying, even a part of the contract, I'm trying to think, it might have been like the design of it was in there, or maybe not in there. I just like there was definitely a breakdown in that one piece of that project. It all worked out, but I
Hmm.
learned from there, from that point, like don't, like you said, don't assume, don't like anything dealing with money, anything dealing with project, you make sure it is clear, like you said, it is clearly defined.
It is clearly defined. Yeah, that is the key to that. And if you think about when we think about project management, like I said, I don't know everybody's experience with it. You when you think about it for your business or for your projects, think on that grand scale how many touch points that projects have, how many communications. It might you and sometimes we don't think about it in that way. We don't think about vendors, procurement, the people that we are touching, emailing, asking, is this in stock? You know, you're reaching out to your reps, you're getting samples. Those people are all part of your project. And so all of these things that we're talking about plays into that. I see people said time, several people said time is one of the things that's tension showing up. How is the time? Is it taking too much time to do a task, or what do you mean when you say time?
For me, I would say not clearly defining like the project um finish or like close, and it just kind of like lingers on. It's like, oh, and what about this thing? And then you look up and it's, 3 more months have passed and you're still, talking to the client, you're still sourcing little things here and there. So
Okay. And so I think we'll touch on the life cycle of projects. But the reason why time is one of the tenets is because once you have, I know we've talked a lot about scope, but once you have your scope defined and you get better at it as a designer, you could do some research. You could reach out to anybody on this community. You can say, how long is this going to take? And then that creates your schedule and your time, right? And then you can put that in there so you aren't underestimating how long. And the more projects that you do, the more that you learn, you can add time. And just because sometimes we may be able to design something faster, that's not the total time. So when we're talking about time, you have to build in uh, contractor time. And believe me, all of us, because I'll be like, okay, I could do this real quick. And then I have to say, wait a minute, let's look at all of the players, right? And in project management, a lot of times there are trees and then there are dependencies, right? So here's this is the design. The design cannot, and this is the contractor. The contractor can't come before the design installing the floor. It has to come. So you have to look at everything is connected to each other and how they go, and that helps you create better scheduling. And again, there are programs out there that you could use for that. But if you're struggling with your time and your scheduling and how long things take, constant and what something takes. Like right now, I have a project. It's so small. It's a 150 square foot in-home podcast studio. Sourcing the wallpaper is taking me more time because it's I have a vision in my head and I can't get it out, right? And that's why I've given myself so much time because I know when I have certain projects that are going to require something unique that I give myself more time. But I wouldn't know that if I hadn't had the scope up front. If somebody said, "Hey, Mia, you want to just design a podcast studio and we want it to look like a popular podcast, we want it to be a neutral zone." You know what I mean? So you have to understand your scope so that you could tell somebody what the time is. She said, I want something I've never seen before. That's going to take more time because you're looking for something that is different and dynamic or whatever. So you take all of the knowledge that you have from your previous projects and you say, okay, what's different in the scope for this one that I can add. Kitchens typically take, 100 hours or whatever. Is there something different? Is there customization in this space and so once you build that time into the schedule, then because it's always better to come in early. It's not good to be late. So even if you allot more time in your schedule for something and you come in a little bit early, you look good. Does that help with that time a little bit?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So case example before, I'm going to close this chat because I keep having to move it around. Okay. So before, intake based on conversation, not documentation. Scope left intentionally loose. Decisions made reactively. The impact, you have timeline extension, budget pressure, designer absorbing stress, and unpaid labor. So these, as you see, like these slides are kind of talking, we kind of touch on them before we even get to them, right? So this is an example of what can happen when you do that. And I think we've said on here, we've all felt this way. So reframing systems, it's not about rigidity. I don't know why I put a word in there I can barely say. It's about clarity, consistency, and leadership. And I will tell you, the more comfortable that you get with project management, you will feel so good about bigger projects. And even when you are proposing, the reason why it's on my website. I constantly mention it. I mention it in my initial consultation is because it sets the standard for being able to run projects. So it gives you that leadership. I ended up not getting this project, but this potential client, reached out to me. They were a family based in London, New York. They were all over the place, and they were working on a summer home here in Michigan. And one of the things that led them to me, minus the website, was my project management background. And then when I talked them through my processes and how I run projects, they were very impressed. I'm a have part-time, I'm a full-time interior designer and I have a design assistant and an intern. I would have had to hire three people to run that project most likely. And so even though they went with another firm, I still felt really good just based on the feedback that what they were impressed with. And so it is leading me to say I will be ready. I would have been ready had I gotten it. And so I bring that up as a win for me not getting it is because I have positioned myself because of my processes that they were really impressed. I met the whole family virtually, and that was one of the things that they talked about. So once you have those things in place and just even being able to speak to them, like I said, you don't have to go out and buy a robust project management software system. It's just understanding. So like this says, it's not about these tight rigidity type processes. It's just being clear and consistent. Okay, so after you have the structure, define scope and assumptions, decision checkpoints tied to phases, changes treated as scope decisions. So, Destiny, to the example that you had earlier, that wall, that change, that would have been, if that wasn't outlined earlier, that would have been a scope decision. And your impact, you now have predictable timeline, increased client trust, designer operating as project lead. So I can give an example of this. I have a client who we originally worked on living room, bathrooms, and we created the designs for those things. And then she said, "Oh, I think I want to see what my living room would look like and the dining room." And we work on that. I was like, okay, that's not in the original scope. And so we were able to easily add that in, addend the contract, and keep right on moving. So when you have that type of structure, there's not this kind of like indecision, you're not reactive, and now you have all the predictability built right into your systems. Questions so far? Am I going too fast? Is this too corporate? Is this making sense?
It's a good.
You were good? Okay. Anything else? 'Cause I'm gonna check the chat.
Get some thumbs
Anything on
up.
here? Okay.
Give you a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay. All
And I,
right.
one of the things I do have a question when it talks about like predictable timelines, because we do know, you know, you can't always predict the timeline. So say like with a big project like that, Mia, what would you, yeah, what type of timeline would you have given that project that you just talked about that you didn't get? Like, how would you have thought through like, or or create, define the expectations around time, I guess.
Well, I don't have all of the scope to speak to that one, but I can tell you. So, for example, when I'm talking to clients and we're talking about permits and different things, those are things we don't have control over the timing. You can still build dependency and time in for that. So you wouldn't have, so for example, when you're looking at like you're talking about scheduling, you wouldn't have the finishing work done scheduled to be done if you know your permit, if you don't have any timing built in for your permits, right? And you can predict, and it's just an estimate, and you can predict that it may take, and sometimes you have to do your research about what city. So here in Michigan, and I'm sure it's everywhere, different cities will require you could get different type of inspectors or whatever. So we could say if we're dealing with the city of Detroit, it's going to take 3 weeks. You're dealing with another city, it only may take a week, 2 weeks, or whatever. So you have that built into the schedule. So if that date shifts, then you see everything shift from there. And then you're able to look and say, is there anything that we can do while we are on this, in this pause, while we wait for this decision? Is there anything in this whole schedule? And so usually how I like to look at the schedules, you have everything, and like I said, they're connected and dependencies and put on top of each other and next to each other or whatever. So if this dependency moves, then this one's got to move and they keep moving. And there may be some things that we can work on around it, but that's how I do the scheduling. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, that's really good. And I'm just,
Yeah.
it's making me think, for this is just a resource for other people, but I'm dropping in the chat. When I do my new client intake, I'll have like a tentative timeline, like literally where they can see the touch points, like concept design, detailed design, the deliver, but I always stress to them that they things can change. Like once we get to procurement, that's the part I don't have any control over when items are going to come in. I don't know. Typically, it's around this. If you don't have a lot of custom pieces, then maybe we can expect X, Y, Z. But to your point, I've just learned like that holds me accountable as well because sometimes I need those that box to know like, okay, my presentation, I've already communicated that to the client. So now that's holding me to the fire to make sure I'm getting my work done and not, lollygagging because there's
Hmm.
expectation. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
put that in the chat just in case anyone wants to see. But
Hmm.
I definitely like what you're saying.
Yeah. And that's why I think I mentioned earlier, sometimes we look at it as just our task. You have to look at all of the, you know what I mean? You're looking at it in a bigger picture, everybody's task, the contractor, the subs. How are your subs? Do you have to find the sub? Does the contractor have one? And what does all of that look like and how all of that is connected, right? And so you're able to just constantly build it out. And it doesn't mean it's always going to be perfect. Those things could move, but it's not the stress when they move because you're understanding and you're able to communicate to the client that this can happen. And it's just really simple. You can just say, "Oh, this is now going to take a little bit longer. What's within your control?"
Yeah,
So,
I
sure.
have a question for you. So are you going in before the contractor is involved, or is the contractor bringing you in on your projects?
I have a couple different client arrangements depending on the project. most of them, actually, I shouldn't say most, it's kind of split. So starting last year, I started working with builder and investors on projects. So they brought me in. There wasn't a client because it was being listed for sale. I'm just starting a relationship with another builder who, when he has his clients, um, they now want a designer to come in and help the client do the designs for the project. And so that is his client. They're going to hire me as a part of it, not the builder, the customer will, the client will, and they'll hire me because they need help with the design. And so me and him have already met, and so he'll be bringing me in for projects that he feels like the clients need designers for. And then I have my others where clients come to me and then I bring contractors to them. So
Okay,
it depends. Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. I like bringing my own contractors just because I know their work. I can stand behind their work a little bit more. But I've actually really met some cool people and some good contractors when I come on. And they're already there. And again, it's about establishing I have a process. This is what I do. This is how I do it. And they fall in line,
How are
fortunately.
you, how are you identifying those contractors that are bringing you in?
They reach out like clients. So these particular guys reached out last year and was like, hey, we're working on these two houses. We need help.
Okay.
And so they brought me in. And so I did the full design, layouts, finishes, fixtures. It was different because there's no furniture. So we just did the lighting plans, the electrical plans, but they have a whole team already. So me and my team came in as the designers. Yeah. Okay, I think we talked about this. Simple systems that can be created that create calm. You only need a few strong anchors here. So a clear intake and scope definition, decision checkpoints, and communication boundaries. Somebody has their hand up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, it was delayed because I had a question about that type of project, and sorry if it's we could talk about it at the end if you can't
No,
answer
you're
now.
fine. Go ahead.
But I wanted to ask, like, when you get that type of opportunity, when you're helping with a builder or GCs with kind of like the more construction build minus the furnishings, are you saying that there's still a client involved? And if so, how are your design fees charged? Is it to the client or to the builder?
So if there is a client, then it's billed to the client. So in the first instance I spoke about, there isn't. So the builder is the client.
Mhm.
They hired me for the design. So they make the final decision as with a client.
Right.
And so I'll give you the con of that is a little bit harder to push them. So, for example, I designed this bedroom because we were working in the historic district of Detroit, and so it's really tight in some of these places. Not a lot of bathrooms as we have today. So we're creating a primary suite. And I was like, since we're putting this here, let's create a hingeless door so that it'll just sit seamlessly flushed into the wall. And they loved the idea. It's in the designs, it's go. But then when we got to installing it, they were like, I don't know. My guys are a little afraid. So I bring my guy in and I say, hey, he can do it. They didn't want to pay him. So they're going to put a regular door. With a client, I would have a little bit more kind of sway to push it a little bit. Again, the client makes the final decision, but
Right.
they tend to trust, the vision. Whereas for the builder, especially investor type builders, they're just trying to get it done for the resale. But I will say the guys, minus that decision, they really trusted everything I said for to do for the most part. But to your question, how do I bill? I'm flat fee overall. And so I charge based on the estimate of hours. And I have no problem going up. So they hired me for one house and then they immediately hired me for another one. I went up 40% for the second house and
Nice.
they had to pay. They were like, I was like, this is way more work than what it, even though we had a scope, I was like, this is way more. And they were like, we know. So, and I just do that based on the estimation of hours plus my hourly fee. So that's how I charge them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so design decision checkpoints, no design decisions without documented scope, no changes without revisiting timeline and budget. Designer leads with decision sequence, and it works because it reduces rework, it protects our creativity, and it reinforces expertise. So I think we kind of touched on this a little bit when somebody wants, they have a decision, they want to change something. Okay, does it the first thing you say to yourself? And again, guys, we don't have to run I know this feels very like strict. This is more so, like I said, this is why I wasn't recommending a software. This is more, think about it as a methodology, think about it as a mindset, right? So your client calls, what do I think? What do you think about this? You immediately go, is this within their scope? Yes. Sure, we could do that. Does what you're asking for change the timeline or the budget? You know, yes or no? Those are questions. So it's not like, okay, it doesn't have to be a software. It doesn't have to be something rigid. It's how you think about everything, how you think about your projects, how you think about your clients. So it becomes, for me, it becomes second nature. So then I'm comfortable with, oh, Mia, do you mind sourcing for um this, and it gets so to the point the client will say, if that's not defined, you can charge me. Oh, I already know. So your clients will mimic your process, and I can tell you, I had that happen, and it happened. We did an install, and the client was like, guess instantly that that wasn't because the scope is so defined. So it becomes a mindset for them too. Okay, what systems actually protect? Protect your creative energy, your authority, your profit margin, and your client experience. So again, it is not, it is a mindset. It's how you work and flow through each client project. Okay. Interior design, project lifestyle. Somebody asked earlier, like, what is project management? This is like real project management, corporate speak. But I tailored it to fit us. Okay. So a simplified PM lifecycle is initiation. Show your intake, your goals, assumptions, planning, budget alignment, timelines, procurement strategy. Are you going to do the procurement? Are you having an assistant do the procurement? There's several companies that do procurement. Are you doing that? Even a procurement strategy, are you going to use a rep to help you? I know for this particular project with the build, I use Wayfair a lot because it was to save as much cost. I had a rep that I would send all of the projects, way under Wayfair Professional. That's a part of the procurement strategy. And so I know she takes a little bit of time to get back with me. I have to build in that time. I know I'm not going to have an answer right away. Execution, design development, ordering and coordination, monitoring and controlling, tracking decisions, changings and risk, and then close out. Install, punch list, documentation, and handoff. So these five things are um, in addition to what we talked about before, the scope, schedule, and budget, these are five, like this is a part of the exam for project management. But I can't have a real project management discussion without including them, but they do fit our business. And so like closeout, punch list, in an install, we unrolled the rug. I had all the furniture delivered. This is a really good example. The install I had on the schedule. I agreed to do this. The client was having a huge New Year's party. The house had no furniture. They bought the house, called me, and we worked on the schedule. So we got everything, and I was like, okay. Called the warehouse. I want you to deliver all the furniture on the 28th or 29th, I think it was. He was like, oh, we're closing. I was like, I'm sorry, what'd you say? He was like, oh, we're gonna close for the year, and go on a 2-week break. I was like, oh, okay. So look at my schedule. What can I do? Where can I put this furniture? Because there were almost 30 pieces of furniture at the warehouse and I needed to get installed. But again, dependencies, what was going on, contractor was still painting in the house. We can't have the house cleaned before the paint comes. So it was all of these dependencies that had to happen. And we were able to look at everything, reshift it. We had all the furniture delivered a week before, stored in another empty space within the house. And then the day of the install, all we had to do was slide the furniture out. But then when I unrolled the rug, I just did a YouTube video. It's on there. It's a big stain on the rug. In the punch list in my install kit, I have the magic erasers. I have all of these things to prepare me for if something goes wrong and we were able to get the stain up and then a new rug is on the way. So it's like all of these things, as you see here, they work together. So in this life cycle, inquiry, intake, concept and design, procurement, implementation, project closeout. And some of these things are in inquiry and intake, you cross that off. Concept and design, you cross that off. But implementation is kind of always going on. Monitoring and controlling is always happening. You're always monitoring, you're always controlling it, your project.
And I want to jump in there real quick. I think one of the things that you've said that I just want to encourage all of us with is like when we have a system, like know your system, meaning like you just said, like I said, I just had an install in December, like December 23rd. But I knew from before that, like you said, my receiving warehouse, they closed down like the last week and a half of December. So just knowing those things, anticipating those things well in advance. So even with like the little timeline I provide the client in the very beginning on onboarding, it gives you an opportunity just before you're into the project to literally start thinking through what like start looking at that calendar so that you can, are there any red flags that might, oh man, I didn't even think about that. Like that you don't want to get stuck thinking about in that moment. And to your point, and when we have those timelines, then also you can think about things like, oh yeah, I'm going to use Wayfair, but I know that it's going to take a week or so for me to get that back. So accounting for that when setting those expectations of time, even for
Mhm.
yourself. And I think sometimes like if we don't have a handle on our time, then that's where that stress and pressure comes in because we could be doing things at the last minute and we can't properly utilize the resources we have with our reps, because you can't just hand them something and think they're going to give it back to you the next day. So this is definitely, you just even saying that part about
Mhm.
Wayfair, because, my lady calls all the time. She called me like yesterday. And it's like, yeah, there have been times like, yes, I could have used the help, but it's at the last hour and I know I'm not gonna get this back. But like you said, now I'm the one sourcing to the midnight hour, trying to get that last little piece in for before this presentation the next day. So that was just that one piece was super helpful to me. I just wanted to say that.
Oh, good. Yeah, and build in the procrastination if some of us deal with that. Build in your life, build in your kid can be sick, building all of that in. That's all about your risk. What are the risks of this project? Oh, those are the things I think about. It's winter. Oh, this month my daughter's gonna have a break. So what does that schedule? What my projects, what is that going to look like? I know December, January, and February, my child is off a week each of those months. Oh, and then March too. So it's like, are the kids ever in school? So it's like, what does what from a project standpoint, what does that look like? And then the estimate, like again, it's your all of that information that you have, it bleeds into the next. It just keeps going. And you're not gonna always get it right. And you always can tweak it. But like you said, if you have a process to start with, tweaking it along the way, it's just fine tuning it. It's only gonna make it better. Any questions about this? I know that was the only really like project heavy part before we move on. Any questions, any thoughts? I can't see the chat, Destiny. I got rid of
No,
it
it's nothing in
because
there.
it
I'll
was
let you know.
okay.
And we got
Okay.
about, I would say about a good 5, 6 more minutes because definitely want to give time for us to do our breakout sessions
Oh,
today.
okay. So yeah, let me get so here we could just talk through these. Expert versus order taker. Designers lose authority when process unclear is unclear. Process positions you as an expert, not an executor. Expert language in action, reposition yourself through process language. If we make that change, we'll need to revisit scope and timeline. Let's decide how you'd like to proceed. Calm, clear, confident. Not, no, we can't make, if you want to do, sure. I always go, of course. X, Y, Z. Of course. If you do that, it'll be another 3 weeks and $10,000. And then it's like, oh, you know what? That's okay. I'm gonna keep it the same. Um, so key takeaways. You, oh, somebody said something? Oh, that's me backing up. Okay. So you now can know where projects actually break down. You can have at least one simple system you can implement immediately, and you can reposition yourself as the expert through your process. And then here's some of the breakouts. If you want, identify one phase of your project that needs more structure.
Someone,
Somebody not on mute.
yeah, I'm trying to think, see who it is. It looks like everyone's on mute. Okay. Well,
And then the other, oh, I am so terrible at doing this. I'm sorry, y'all. And then name one change you can implement in the next 30 days. Now, if this felt more informative and you feel like there's a little bit more information or it felt more of an overview and you want some more details, please reach out to me and I would be more than happy to walk you through even more like detailed building. You know what I mean? Detailed, because I can talk this project management stuff for a long time. And so I struggled with how in depth to make it. And I kept going back, like, am I giving information? Is this enough? If is it too much of an overview? But this can get really deep. And I wanted to make sure that we didn't get too much into process as far as telling you exactly what you had to do. Like I said, I wanted it to be more of thinking about how to apply it to what you have already, because all of us are creative and we all do things totally different and can still be successful. And so that's why there's so many software out there, and I haven't found still for myself the perfect one. I'm actually subscribed to two because I'm like, I can't tell which one I love the best. So I didn't want to go into that lane. I wanted to talk about it more from a methodology standpoint. But if you want to go a little bit more granular, you can reach out to me and we can talk about it for sure. And I hope it was helpful. I hope.
Can you talk
no,
about the two that you do use?
yeah, I'm gonna,
Right now I'm in my Doma,
Mhm.
and I just recently resubscribed back to Design Files.
okay, cool.
And then I have also used for big, like for other projects, I've used Asana. I've liked Asana a little bit, but I am one that likes try to like one system, and I haven't found one that I totally love, and so sometimes I can even do pen and paper, calendar. I like Gantt charts. If anybody, it's GNATT. And so you really can see, because of my project background, even in Microsoft Project, I really love it because you put it in there and you say the contractor's going to be 2 more weeks, it'll just move everything 2 more weeks out. It'll move everything and it'll say, oh, you got a dependency here. How do you want to handle that? How do you want to move that? My Doma had a little bit of that capability. It's just not, it's a little clunky for me. Any questions? Anything? I hope this was helpful. I can't tell
Um,
you how many times I almost backed out when Destiny asked.
Precious, Precious said I would
Just
like
one
to
more
hear.
question, yeah. Do you find that you're able to work a little less clunky in design files with your project management projects?
I really love design files. I just don't have the time to go back into it. So if somebody on here is in design files, they can speak to it. I left because they didn't have photorealistic rendering and another software that my Doma ended up bought, which now Studio Designer owns my Doma now. But I don't use the photorealistic rendering that much anymore. So, and then my design files just released where now they do the AI where they'll do the picture that you create through design files, and then you can process it through the AI and make it look more photorealistic. So I immediately signed back up with them, but I haven't dug into it like I needed to after that. But I
Gotcha.
know a lot of designers love design files.
And I think this is a great segue to the next part. But before we do that, yeah, this was great. And I think for me in trying to facilitate, organize these sessions, I've really been thinking about like the tenets of business. And so operations, structures, organization, marketing, leadership, finance, those are the areas that I'm trying to pull people in to really talk to us about. So like you said, the project management is key because, marketing gets you the clients, but solid processes and structures is what keeps your client happy and will get you repeatable clients and more clients because they will speak to how well you were able to move through your project and that's what makes them happy. So definitely this was good. I always can tell when I have had I find value in when I'm speaking with people by the number of notes I'm able to take
Okay.
during that session. We do have one question, but before I um, go there, we're going to do our breakout. We spoke about it last month, and I'm going to kind of share that real quick. And these conversations around design files and all that, this is great, and I think it's really appropriate for one of the breakout rooms because I too am now like looking at other project management software. So one of the breakout rooms would be a great place to go and continue having those conversations. So I'll get that up and going. So I'm going to share my screen and then Vanessa, um, I'm going to have you go ahead and speak. But while I share the screen, start thinking about what breakout room you may want to go to. And because right after she finishes, I'm going to open them up and then you can choose what breakout room you want to go to. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen. Hopefully you can see it. So these are our breakout rooms. And go ahead, Vanessa. Is it Vanny?
Yeah, Vanny, Vanessa.
I was
Everything
like,
works.
Vanessa.
Hi, Maya. Thank you so much. I came a little late, so I'm gonna have to catch the replay. I might have missed some things, but um, how do you share your Gantt chart or whatever your documentation that has your lead time with the contractor and the client, just generally? And if you have changes, if you have to make changes, do you reshare that with them? Like, what's the process for that?
And I'm gonna
Um,
pause you 1 second. I'm gonna pause you. Meet in room 2. That's a question for room
that's
2.
meeting room two.
Yeah,
Okay.
meet
I've
me in
been waiting
room
to sip
2.
my wine while we were talking, but I feel
Okay.
like I can sip it now.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here. Okay, so everyone sees room 1 is about sales and marketing. So this is just a place. These are some topics we can talk about if you want to, ask questions around these things. I'll also plug this into the breakout rooms as well. So you can kind of use this as, um, yeah, just kind of a guide for the conversation to operations leadership. So you can see like software, things like that. That's what you're talking about in two. Room three, finance and everything money. So if you got questions or want to talk and pick your, everyone's brain about that. And then room four, if there's something that's going on, a situation, a problem that you are currently experiencing, and you want to kind of like throw that out there and get some advice from your community, then go to room number four.
I
Okay.
love this, Destiny.
All right.
Yeah, this is
Thank
really
you.
great.
Okay.
How do
So
we choose our room?
I'm opening it now.
Okay.
So I think hopefully you see something on your screen that's telling you now. Can you see?
Oh, I haven't done this since pandemic. I see it. Let me see.
I'm gonna stop sharing. I've opened them up, so
Oh,
hopefully.
did I stop sharing? Yeah, I did, right?
Okay, one person's Vanny's in room one, and I'll put this again. I'll put it in the chat so you can also see.
But
Um,
I forgot, where do I go to get to the room?
it should have popped up or breakout rooms down at the bottom, like on the
Oh,
little,
I see it. Breakout
yeah,
rooms. I
breakout
see it. Okay. Join. Yep, I
Wait,
got it.
where is it? I'm missing it. Where
at
is
the
it?
bottom. It'll say breakout rooms.
I can't see it
I
either.
had to click more. So click more
I'll
if you
click
see that on the
Okay.
more.
right side.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I'm like, I can't even get in a room. Oh, yeah, I can. Join. Try to make sure everybody else is in. So again, go to more, go to breakout rooms, and you can join the room. Someone meet Cheryl in finance. I still got 6 people in here. I'm gonna assign you. Let's see. Okay, okay, Cheryl. I was like, she's the only one in here. Let me come and see what she might need or want to talk about before I try to hop over to number
Oh,
two.
you did. I was getting ready to switch over too. It's
Okay,
no problem.
okay, we can swap. I'm gonna go join number two.
That was too.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Destiny.
You're welcome. Leadership. No,
Let's see.
which one is this? So,
Operation.
where is it at? I think, oh, it's an operation.
Yes. Hmm.
He was they have a really robust setup. I think they use co-construct. And so and I'm finding this will be a new experience for me, so I'll have to report back, but it is very much um I'm finding that some of these builders are reaching a point where they're trying to grow their business. And because what happens is they advertise, clients reach out to them and they want Pinterest stuff, right? They want like a kitchen that looks like this and everybody can figure it out and they feel like they don't need us. But some of the builders who are trying to get to that next
Hmm.
level are wanting designers to help them because they're not designers. Their clients are having trouble. They don't have a designer on their team. And so this is like my third conversation with one. And I think this last one that I've been working with, that I'm getting ready to start working with, he has a great system. And so he was like, Mia, I can take the project management side. And I was like, you can have it. The only thing I find though is a lot of people think, oh, okay, even though I don't have one of my design things, it's right here. Even though you create this, you get this full book and it's got everything. They feel like, okay, you could take this and then I'm good. And I'm like, it's not that simple. There's still going to be touch points. There's still going to be, so I still feel like from experience, I have to build in a little, when people say, oh, I want to do the project management, I have to build in some. So I don't see how
Sometimes.
you could totally get rid of it. So for example, I created these like moldings and I hand drew the elevation all out, but the home is old. So I sent it to the GC.
Guys know.
I did have a conversation about B&I recently with a carpenter, and she suggested more interior designers join because interior design is not as common of a career as we think it is. We are just kind of like in this bubble as interior design community, but
Mm-hmm.
she was saying like there's in my area, I'm in Tampa, there's really no interior designers a part of the local B&I. So
Okay,
on my
that's
list
good
as
to know.
well. hmm Yeah.
And I just have in Tamala, what's BNI?
Business Network International. Is that
Something
right?
like
I
that.
think that's
Something like
right.
that.
But it's like nationwide. So there's chapters
Yeah.
all over the country. I'm not sure how much the dues are, but they have regular meetups. They have conferences, all types of things.
They have regular, depending on which group you join, it can be either a weekly meeting or a bi-weekly meeting. And every so often you'll find a monthly meeting, but they have dues that are due for each meeting. And they have very strict requirements for
Yeah,
your
they do.
attendance requirements, so
Have you
be
done it
Mhm.
careful.
before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I've done it
How
before.
was your
Did you find
I've
it
done it
experience?
helpful?
before.
Yeah.
So I did it years ago when I had a different business, and it wasn't helpful for me for the business that I had at that time. But anything in the construction and real estate industry, there are a lot of other service providers in that industry. And you do have to provide lead sources for, I think, one or two
Mhm.
people for every
Yeah,
meeting.
it's kind of
Oh,
So,
intense.
yeah,
okay.
I was
yeah,
invited by a member, and so that's a way you can kind of test out one of their meetings. Usually they'll have like maybe a virtual
yeah,
and then the next week in person and kind of have different schedules, but I was able to join on a virtual, then join in a in person, and then by the third meeting, kind of make my decision. I decided not to
right.
move forward just because of that intensity of like feeling like there's more homework than not, and then I just didn't
Mhm.
feel like it would um, fit into my marketing budget at that time for the output that I felt I was going to get. So I
Right.
decided not to go forward.
Well, the good thing about it is that you will definitely find your service providers because they are there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I remember what I was going to say. I was going to ask a question. Does everybody feel like they are traditionally slower in January? Because I am usually slower in January. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, friends.
Today, people are still trying to get their bank accounts in order. Uh, but I noticed that it is still like at the beginning of the year, well, I'll say this, I remember one year, January was great. I was like, oh my gosh, like if it's like this for the rest of the year, I'm going to do great. And then like February, March, and like, no. But yeah, I just traditionally find that so I always think it's a good time to really like regroup and like reflect on the previous year. Unless you still might have projects like that kind of like come into the new year from the previous year. But it is a good time to sort of like reflect and plan, set new goals, change up things while it's sort of down. Um, I wanted to find out, have any of you used like any of the house apps? Not house, but neighborhood apps for marketing?
Like which ones?
There's this one, I think forgetting it. It's literally called like
Next
or My Neighbor or um it just that name.
thing.
And you can pay to actually like people in the neighborhood post all sorts of things, but it's not just in your neighborhood immediate. Like ours is like this general area, so it's multiple neighborhoods within, say, the city. What is the name of that?
Mhm.
Hold on, I'm gonna find it. Uh, okay.
You may
I've
be talking
tried
about next door.
Nextdoor,
Yeah.
but
How did next
yeah,
door
it's
work?
Next door, yes.
it's crickets. They,
Crickets?
I, it's just yeah, it's just a different. I don't know. They're usually looking for like plumbers and trades and not the actual design part. They're more of a DIY, I feel, kind of group.
Okay.
Sometimes
Okay.
you want to maybe be in like threads, and so if they're like talking about a topic and maybe you could add advice and like give your little 2 cents and expertise, and maybe that would engage people. But like putting out some of the content that I either put on Instagram or TikTok doesn't translate, I feel, in my personal opinion. And I'm based
Okay.
in Maryland, so just to give context.
Okay. Where in Maryland are you?
I'm in Bowie.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm in Upper Marlboro, so
Oh, nice.
we're
Neighbor.
literally
Yep,
next
we're
door to
neighbors. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I said that market, you guys are flooded in that market. I know. With designers.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, quite a bit, yeah. Um, okay. Questions? Anything else you ladies want to chat about? I had my intern. I just got well, I had two interns from Howard. One she fell off after 2 weeks. But
Okay.
that's a whole nother story. That's like leadership and operations, that chat. But I just had her look up one of the research like publications that I have seen just being around in town. Like tonight, we're going to go play pickleball, and at the rec, there's this little newspaper, little newsletter they have that comes out. And so, hey, can you go and find out how much does it cost to actually advertise in these different publications that you just see around town, and clearly people are flipping through them, and especially if there are neighborhoods where that's where your target audience is, or you want to work in those neighborhoods. I think it is worth um,
They're
investing.
very expensive. Yeah. It's not cheap. It's expensive.
Yeah.
I found because I've reached out to a few of them in my area, and I found that if I like write a piece, because they're always looking for articles and stuff for their magazines. I thought so when you read them, you look and you're thinking that people are writing those pieces just for advertisement or whatever, or just for the magazine, but you actually have to pay to write an article and have it put in the magazine and promote yourself. So I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, I definitely learned early on
Yes,
when
I
I
love
got started,
too.
like it takes money to make money. And if anyone listens to Luann Nigera, she talks about how your marketing budget should be about 40% of your operating budget, which can be quite a bit. But it's how you get out there. And as I was telling my intern today, like I read the book Marketing Luxury Design Attracting Affluent Clients by Melissa Galt. And she talks about you get clients because they know, like, and trust you. And so the first part is how do they even know you're there? Like we can have a gazillion designers in an area, but if you're not really showing up anywhere, no one knows you really even exist. So how do you end up putting your name? And it might be an investment up front, just a big investment up front, just to get noticed. And all it takes is a couple good projects that you don't have to keep buying that high priced marketing advertisement, or you're like, oh yeah, my return on investment was so good, I got that money back and plenty more. So I'm going to keep investing there because it's bringing me the clients that I really do want. So I'm just saying, like, yeah, she did the research. Now I'm going to go look through what she found, like what is the pricing, and like you're saying, find one that can work for me
Right.
because I
I'm
don't
okay
have.
with investing and planning, but I want qualified leads that are, I don't find that it's worth my time to put an ad in a neighborhood. Not that anyone else may not, but and it's going to see all these people that are not specifically looking for a designer are going to see it. When I'm putting my name out there, I want them to be specifically looking for a designer. The most response or the biggest response that I get is when I do a workshop. So when I go into a community where they have activities, where there's a activity director, and she's going to do all my mailing of the whatever marketing for me to get the attendees there, and I don't have to put money into that. The only thing it costs me is to you take some wine and a charcuterie board and go in and talk to the community. They're always looking for activities to plan for the community. And so they're usually welcoming to have someone come in. And I've gotten just very good response from that.
So, I mean, tell us more. So when you said like these community activities, like where are you doing these, activities or presentations, and what type of
Right.
products are you gleaning? Like who's showing up? Just tell us more.
So it's like it's typically in a planned development. So Maple Lawn is I know some of you are from Maryland. Are you guys familiar with Maple Lawn over in Fulton? So Maple Lawn is a full developed area over in the Fulton, Maryland area, so right outside of Columbia, Maryland. And they have a community house. They have a big swimming pool, tennis courts, meeting rooms where they do activities. So they already have everything I need, and I just have to show up with my charcuterie board and my wine and my glasses, and I do my setup and I do a presentation. Usually there's a topic that I choose, current trends, color trends, lawn, whatever, scaping or whatever that may be of interest to the residents of that community. So when they see that come across on the activities and events for that community, they're the ones that are reaching out to the activity director and registering directly with her to attend that event. So all I need to do is call her and get a head count. How many people do you have coming? Then I show up, I do my presentation. Of course, I have a sign up system for whoever attends. So I'm capturing the names, the email addresses, the contact information for all the attendees. And after I deliver my presentation, so I typically deliver my presentation to give design ideas for the attendees. So you're always going to want those people. You're always going to get the people that are do-it-yourselfers. They want to come out and pump you for information. But there are a lot of people, or some people are going to come who only don't want to do that. Okay, well, I don't want to do all of that. What's your name? Give me your card. You can come and do it for me. That's where you can pick up some people that way too. And so you say, okay, cool. You pull out your appointment book. What's your schedule? I can come on Friday. I can come next Tuesday to do an initial consultation. So you go in, you do an initial consultation, and that's how you really pick up clients. Does that answer the question, Destiny?
Yeah, no, it does. So no,
Okay.
thank you for that. And I think that with any network, like when you create a marketing plan, um, did y'all just get a message that said like 1 more minute? Okay,
Mhm.
perfect. So with any marketing plan, which I'm about to start really working on mine, like I'm saying, using this slower time to do that, is one, differentiating your marketing strategies. Like my business was built off of Thumbtack. And
Mhm.
that was just literally one platform. And I am where I am because of Thumbtack. But after a while, you will exhaust or you will outgrow certain platforms. That's where I think I am now. I've outgrown them, but they were great to get me started. And so it might still be as part of my plan, but it can't be my only source of leads, because what happens when that dries up and nothing's coming from there, then your business is falling flat. So I think like having that, and as I wouldn't still say even just because of the cost, yeah, you're going to pay because people are looking at it. And large corporations spend millions of dollars advertising and print ads and all over, because, and they wouldn't do it if they weren't seeing some return on their investment. So I think in some ways you just kind of got to try and see what works for you. Like I've heard people say they tried Thumbtack, it didn't work for them. I tried it, it did work for me. So I'm not going to tell anyone, well, if it didn't work for me or if it's too expensive for me, like not to do it. You like everyone
Which
has to do what's good for them ultimately. And then if you see the return again on your investment, then you keep using it. And then if you ultimately don't, then you just kind of like stop.
which
But
system did you use on Thumbtack, Destiny?
system
Yeah.
with service is interior design.
No, I mean, isn't there like different processes and ways that you can use Thumbtack? You can pay for it, or you can pay for each lead, or you can pay a certain amount and they'll send you leads, or I mean, there are several
With
different.
Thumbtack, you pay as people, if someone sees your profile and they want to reach out to you, you pay for that lead, whether you get the job or not. As soon as
Right.
they
Okay.
you're going to pay for it. So, all right, ladies, we're gonna hop over into the main room. I'm about to close all the rooms. This is great. See you over there. Okay, everyone. We are People are joining, coming back to the room. So yeah, before we leave our today, one again, I don't know, Mia might be gone, but that was super helpful. And for those who may not have been in like the main breakout room, where did they go? Maybe they hopped off. But anyway, was there any like a main takeaway from today, whether it was Mia, something you heard breakout, just anything you would like to share before we say goodbye to one another?
Clearly define the scope. That
Yeah.
was most helpful for me. Scope creep.
Yes. And Mia, I was thinking this, and I'm glad Timala mentioned it again. Are you able to, in the Facebook group, um, even if it's just that part of a sample contract, like you said, that had how you define the scope as an example, just to make it very clear for everyone to see, you know,
Sure.
just even like that one page or however you did it, that would be great.
Hmm.
And yeah, like these last minute or two is really for anyone to just share out something that is their big takeaway from today. Um, any suggestions you all may have or needs that you all have, ideas for other sessions in the future. This is just our time to kind of wrap up before we head on out to our families or our cats and dogs. So Timla says, define the scope. Don't all speak at once.
Well, I'll say, Mia, your presentation was great. It was very helpful. I have lots of notes and lots of touch points to troubleshoot in my process. So thank you for your expertise.
You're so welcome. Glad I can help.
I agree, Mia. You did a fantastic job. And I really do enjoy the breakout session. I feel like it really allows us to engage a little easier. It's a little bit more intimate. We didn't have a whole lot of time in mind, but I feel like going forward, if that's a part of the process, then it'll definitely be, helpful.
Yes, I agree. It was great. I loved it.
Cool. Yeah, my goal is to at least allow for like 25 minutes at minimum. So pretty much as long as we're kind of like wrapping up whoever's speaking to us, by like 4:25, that gives us that time in the groups, and then we can like I said, debrief. And what I'll also do is go ahead in the Facebook group and put like the breakout groups sessions like there, so you can kind of help you think of like during the week or something like, okay, what is something that might want to talk about, and come prepared with it. And so yeah, someone asked about the Facebook group. It's business strategies for minority designers. I think someone may have put it in the chat. And yeah, I think that is it. Again, Mia, thank you so much. It
You
was
guys are so welcome. I was pulling up, sorry, I was pulling up I had two contracts. Oh, but it's over. So I never mind. I'm sorry. I was going to share two examples of the scope in my document in my thing, but
Gotcha.
we ran out
No,
of
if you
time.
can just drop it in like our Facebook group or send it to me and I'll put it in the Facebook group.
Okay.
Just that piece and I'll put everything. And the presentation will be inside Facebook, in the Facebook group on Instagram. And if you haven't reached out in Instagram, do that as well. Like if you're more of an Instagram person, it's ID Business Strategies for Interior Designers or minorities, sorry, business strategy for minorities. I think Instagram thought I was like spamming people, so I was trying to reach out to everyone, but it stopped. It started blocking my messages to you all. So
Oh
I don't know if
no.
eventually that will like stop. Like I can't reach out to new people, only people who actually come in and contact me. So that's it. Thank you all so much. Hopefully, this will help us all do better and be better. And yeah, and I can't wait to see everyone next month. We have Nal Johnson who will be presenting to us a little bit more even about the importance of good processes. And I'm super excited about now coming and showing up. And again, if y'all have any ideas, like feel free to reach out to me. If there's anyone that you know that you're like, hey, they're a wealth of knowledge and value that they can bring to the group, let me know. I reach out to them, get it set up. So thank you all so much. Have a good evening. See y'all next time.
Bye. Great job,
Bye.
Destiny.
Thank
I
you.
love how
Thank you.
thank you.
All
You're
right, bye.
on it.
Thank you.